Well, hello again and welcome to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures podcast. I'm Tom. As always, I'm with my gorgeous, wonderful, intelligent, super duper hardworking Disney Cruise Line loving wife and co-host Michelle.
Thank you, my love. Hi, everybody.
So good to have you with us. We are recording this episode actually on Saturday, May 22nd, 2021. Why are we recording this on Saturday and when we normally record these on Sunday and then release them later that afternoon? Well, we still wanted to release it on Sunday afternoon. However, we have some of my family coming to town, and we planned a lunch with them because we haven't seen them in well over a year. So we all wanted to get together and finally have lunch together. We're all vaccinated. We're all going to have I think we're going to have some nice pizza and beer.
Yeah.
Just a nice, casual, fun afternoon lunch out here in San Diego.
Amazing. Yes. Can't wait to see them.
Yeah.
And they've actually appeared on our podcast.
They have in the past, and we're hoping that sometime in the very near future, they may be making a reappearance.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that. But thank you for joining us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventurespodcast.com. And while you're there,
I've heard we have a newsletter now.
we do. I think I've heard something about that, which is probably a good thing because I'm usually the one who puts out the newsletter. So yes, we do have a newsletter. It's just another way to kind of be more involved in the Hyperion Adventures podcast world. We give you what's going on with episode by episode, what we have coming up in the future. We interact with you in different ways. Sometimes we let you see things before anybody else, before we release them on social media, before we release them to the world. You get to see them first because you are a subscriber to the newsletter.
Right. And sometimes you get tips and information that we don't share anywhere else.
Sometimes. So you'll want to be subscribed to that newsletter. And we appreciate all of you that have already done that.
That's right.
Another way to kind of be involved in our Hyperion Adventures podcast world is to follow us on social media. Please check us out on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. We do have a YouTube channel where we release some other videos, but mostly they're just kind of another way to access this show. But if you want to find us there, just do a search for Hyperion Adventures Podcast, hit subscribe, and you'll know whenever we have a new video there. And if you ever want to contact us for any reason, please hit us up at our Gmail account, HyperionAdventurespodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, we love hearing from folks. It's really amazing getting the emails, and we get a lot of love and a lot of praise on emails. So thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you. It's embarrassing sometimes,
I
but
know.
we really appreciate it. And we're honored that you all reach out to us so often and say such nice things. Speaking of that, I've announced this in the newsletter a couple times, so people who have the newsletter know this a little bit, but I want to get it out there for everybody else because not all of our Hyperion Adventures necessarily are subscribed to the newsletter. You should be, but not all, and we don't necessarily, it's not all about that. So we're coming up in 2 weeks on our 3rd anniversary show.
Hard to believe.
Yeah. And so because you are the reason that drives us to do this show, all our Hyperion Adventures, all of those of you who have listened to the show, have interacted with us in the past, we would love for you to be a part of that show. It could be a written message, it can be a video message, it can be an audio message, whatever you like. You can say whatever you want about the show, and we would love to incorporate you within that celebration of our 3rd anniversary as a podcast.
Right. It's so exciting that we have that anniversary coming up. And like you said, we have really amazing listeners that are so generously wonderful to us, and we want to feature you on our anniversary episode.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a lot of great things on that show. We may have to split that into a 2-part show that we're gonna do, like drop them both on the same week, but be a 2-part show, because not only are we doing our 3rd anniversary special, we also are visiting Avengers Campus that exact same weekend for the opening day out at Disney California Adventure Park at the Disneyland Resort. So we'll have a lot to talk about on that show, or shows, depending on how it goes. We'll see how it is. But either way, we would love for you to be involved in that. I think it's going to be a really special episode. And we have some interesting news that we're going to release in that episode as well. We have been waiting on this for a long time, and there's a couple things that we're going to bring coming up that we're excited to tell you about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, if you want to send us one of those messages, please just, you can hit us up on any of our social media accounts. Or, of course, as I mentioned just a little bit ago, email us at HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com.
Right. We can't wait.
We can't wait.
It's gonna be exciting.
But let's get to this week's show. We have lots of stuff for you this week, including we learned some fantastic news about a couple of Disneyland reopenings this week. One near us, one not so near us. We'll tell you all about that. And Disney Cruise Line is a step closer to making another Florida location one of its home ports. That's interesting news. We'll tell you all about that too. But we've got more Disney Cruise to talk about. So let's get to our main topic of the week. So yes, our main topic of the week, we are so very excited for the Disney Wish. Many of you out there, some of you might have had your opportunity already to book aboard this brand new Disney cruise that's debuting, the Disney cruise ship that's debuting next year. Other you, probably this week is your opportunity to book if you so desire. And so, you know, we've made no secret of it. We love Disney cruising. And so we wanted to kind of share that love with you. Now, some of this stuff is things that we've talked about in other shows, but it's been a while. Some things have changed, and you know that we also have gotten we've received more listeners now than we've had in the past. More of you may not have listened to those episodes, so we kind of want to go through some of the old stuff that we've talked about Disney cruising, but also some of the new stuff. So we thought that we'd make this episode, entitle it Disney Cruise Line, A Wish and So Much More.
Yeah, I love that title. And yeah, I actually think I have probably more new things to talk about than older things. But yeah, just with so many things right now happening these past couple weeks with Disney Cruise, allowing bookings to start for the, like you said, the new ship, the Wish, and the cruise line industry making some headway with being able to visit Alaska with some changes to very, very old antiquated laws. It's just an exciting time. And I know this morning, I heard about that. It's not a Disney cruise ship, but we do have a cruise ship here in port at San Diego. So, and that crew is getting vaccinated this weekend. So it's just really exciting news to start seeing the cruise line industry coming about again. And so it just seems like a timely topic.
Yeah, it's been a bit overdue for them to get these steps where they can finally approach to the point where they may be able to start all these sailings again, whether it be Disney Cruise Line or all the other cruise lines for that matter. I mean, they've all been out kind of floating around the ocean, just waiting for their chance. And now it looks like they're starting to put some pieces in place, and we are getting that much closer to sailing. But really, the excitement this week was, of course, about the Disney Wish and bookings opening up. And we're going to talk some about that. We'll get to that near the end of this segment. First of all, we're going to talk about, just for those of you who maybe have joined us recently and don't know our experiences with Disney Cruise Line and cruising in general, we're going to tell you a little bit about that. Then we're going to tell you what we think sets Disney Cruise Line apart from various other cruise lines. We've sailed on several. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. And then finally, we'll get to the news about the Disney Wish. And of course, we have to do a top 5 list that may not only be 5 of the things we're excited about aboard the Disney Wish. We may even tell you if we booked a sailing on board the Disney Wish or not. Did we? You're going to have to wait and find out about that. But let's kind of get to it. We'll start with just talking about Disney Cruise Line in general. And our experience is, we are both platinum cruisers. Michelle was sailing on Disney Cruise Line before we actually ever met. Right. So she has a few on me. But we're both platinum cruisers. We've been on 11 or more, Michelle or more, Disney cruises over our time. And we've sailed everything from like 2-night sailings that go nowhere, essentially. Right. They just sail around at sea and then come back to the port, all the way to the long ones, the 15-night transatlantics. Right. And of course, we had that Panama Canal cruise just last year when everything went bonkers on us. So we've said a lot of things in between. We've done lots of different cabins. We've done everything from actually, I've never done an inside cabin on Disney Cruise. Michelle has, but we've also done ocean view, verandas, deluxe family, and yes, concierge on up to. And this is going to sound like a little bit of bragging, and maybe it is. We haven't been in the royal suite aboard the Disney Wonder in the past.
Both the Roy O and the Walt.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I was looking on my Facebook memories today, and this day that we're recording this is actually the 6-year anniversary of when we were on our cruise, staying in the royal suite, and we renewed our wedding vows in San Francisco in the royal suite, which was really fun.
That was fun, and had family there, and just an amazing time, and a lot of great memories from that.
Family, friends, and of course Disney Cruise Line, which is never a bad thing, and the royal suite, which is at the time, I think it's bigger than our house that we live in right now. It's a pretty big suite. So hopefully you'll get to enjoy it at some point during your life, because that's crazy. It's not as big as that suite on board the Wish, though. That's insane.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, we've also done specialty cruises. We've done the Halloween on the High Seas cruise a couple times. We did the very first the inaugural Star Wars Day at Sea cruise. That was a lot of fun, and we want to do that again at some point soon.
Yeah, that was really, really fantastic.
Yeah.
Unique. The Disney cruising experience is always fun anyways. And, especially if you've gone on different Disney cruises, there's some things that, you'll want to do again over and over, but it's great to have some of those new little magical things to experience. For sure.
So that was a lot of fun, and we really enjoyed that. We are booked for this December, right around Christmas time, for Very Merry, what are they called? The Very Merry Sailing, whatever the Christmas time sailing is.
And I've been on a short one.
Oh, that's right. You have. I have not yet. So I'm looking forward to experiencing that and waking up. This will be actually our first time we wake up aboard a Disney ship on Christmas Day. So that's going to be really cool. Assuming that's going to all go through, but looking forward to that. However, we haven't just sailed aboard Disney Cruise. We've also sailed aboard Princess. As a matter of fact, we're platinum on Princess cruises as well. We've sailed about Carnival, and we've also sailed aboard Royal Caribbean ships for shorter and longer sailings for each of those cruise lines. So we kind of have a basis to compare these between these 4 different cruise lines to tell you, why we feel like Disney Cruise may be just a bit better than those other cruise lines, at least in our opinion.
Right. For a lot of reasons. Although, there are some things, some of the other cruise lines that we have sailed on that do have some great features too. So, but today's episode is really to focus on what sets Disney apart too. And I think you did well. You didn't sound braggy. I think we're just trying to relay to folks that, we do have some background to be able to talk about a little bit. So just give a little bit of validation to what we're going to say.
Yeah. It was a little braggy. But yes, no, that was mostly what I was trying to make a point on. And by the way, when I mentioned that Disney Cruise Line we feel is better than these other cruise lines, all these cruise lines that we mentioned do things well. Each of them kind of does one thing better than the other, to me. And so it just depends on what you're looking for. But I think across the board, we agree that if we could pick, all things being equal, if we were to pick one cruise line, it's going to be Disney Cruise Line almost every time.
Sure. Like the overall arching, that you're going to have more opportunities for fabulous experiences. Yes, Disney is set apart.
Especially for Disney fans like us. It kind of helps a little bit in the occasion. So what does set Disney Cruise Line apart? And there's so many things, actually, in my opinion, and I'm sure Michelle has some ideas on this as well. But I'm going to start off with just right off the easy one, and that is, it is the same customer service you expect from Disney when you go to the parks, when you go to the resorts. That over and above Disney customer service is exactly what you get aboard a Disney Cruise Line ship as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It brings that culture, throughout the whole experience on the cruise ship. And like you said, it starts with the service.
Yeah. And that includes everything like how clean they keep the ships. You know, I mean, we talked about it many times if you've listened to our Panama Canal cruise, and you know, when COVID was really striking and they were out there wiping down the walls and all the banisters and everything all the time. Yeah, maybe that was a little more than they normally do, but not that much more. They're there all the time, cleaning floors, cleaning banisters, cleaning everything around that ship. It is, you'll go into ports and you'll see other cruise line ships and you'll look at them and you go, wow, our ship is gleaming compared to some of these other ones. It's amazing at how the upkeep that Disney does on their ships.
Right. They really do, you know, like you're saying, throughout every sailing, they're maintaining something, or, you know, varnishing something or painting something, and, you know, just to keep that sparkle alive.
For sure. And it's really something you just come to expect. And somewhat you take it for granted but you walk around it and it's just a beautiful, immaculate ship. Every single one of them we've been on. We've never seen, you know, them not working to make sure that ship is in as good a shape as it possibly can be.
That's right. Right.
So another thing that kind of sets Disney Cruise Line apart is the size of their cabins. They have really large cabins for the most part, you know, I mean, including the split bathroom setup, which is excellent, especially for families. They know that they're going to have most of these cabins are going to be filled with 3, 4, possibly even 5 guests on board them, you know, with the young ones as well. So that they have made that room in there to be able to fit comfortably all those people within it. And that includes being able to get ready for dinner or whatever at night. So they have those split bathrooms that one person could be getting ready and one could be showering or, you know, using the restroom or whatever you need. Really is a wonderful portion of being aboard a Disney cruise.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, and when you're talking about, you know, the cabin, another great feature that, you know, comes standard in the rooms is having that sitting area, having the couch and a little, you know, coffee table available to you. Makes night and day difference, whether you're with a family or just 2 adults. I mean, we've been on some cruises where, you know, that even in a, you know, a nicer suite, or, you know, maybe a nicer cabin, maybe not a suite, you don't have that. So you're like, if you want to have any food in the room or something like that, you're balancing food on a table.
In the bed.
The bed, right. And one
little
chair.
Yeah, exactly.
And a desk.
And the desk, yeah.
Yeah. So having, you know, that ability, you know, like you said, with the split bathrooms for multiple people to be, you know, getting prepared, and with the room having that sitting area, so you don't feel like you're just in a cabin with a bed, is really, really special.
Yeah. You know, and that includes also like the space to stash things, the cabinets, the dressers, all the different places where you can put things through. It's not just all scattered about your cabin. Now you're going to be with kids. There's a good chance there's still going to be things scattered about the cabin, or if you're with me, because I tend to scatter things about the cabin as well. But it is nice to have that extra kind of storage space within those cabins.
Right. Definitely.
So another thing we love and which we feel sets Disney Cruise Line apart is the entertainment. I mean, I think that Michelle will definitely agree with this, that the entertainment that you find aboard a Disney cruise, especially if you are a Disney fan, it's better than anything else you'll find at sea, at least that we've experienced to this point.
Right.
Consistently. Anyway.
Right. Like you said, you know, to be included in the price. I mean, I do know that some of the cruise lines do have special shows that you can pay for to see. But on the Disney cruise, it's, you know, especially when we're talking about the big productions, the evening shows. I mean, those things, like you said, are top quality. They prepare those new shows as if it was a Broadway show. They you know, bring the cast together and they're rehearsing for months ahead and working through the set design and you know, it is really top quality entertainment, you know, and obviously it touches the heart with the fact that it has the theming of being associated with Disney.
And they usually have some sort of show that you will know something about, like say something about Aladdin or Tangled, Beauty and the Beast. They usually kind of have the Frozen show as well aboard this. And then they have their specialized shows that kind of, some are on multiple ships, but a lot of times there are certain shows on certain ships that are brand new things. They incorporate a lot of Disney thoughts and ideas within it, and music, of course. but they all tie together to some theme that always, like you mentioned, Michelle, touches the hearts.
Right, exactly.
So, and that, and that's just talking about the stage productions in like the Walt Disney Theater.
Right.
They have first run movies at sea in their movie theaters as well. The characters around all the time. Deck side performances in the evenings occasionally, like with Pirate Nights. The only ship I believe that do regularly fireworks at sea, aboard a Disney cruise line, the Pirate Night, all that kind of fun stuff. It's just, and it's all included in your price, so it's just those things that make it extra special when you go on a Disney cruise.
And that's actually one of the first things I had on my list was the issue of, and I don't know if people even use this term anymore, nickeling, diming for some entertainment, that we're seeing. And it's understandable. Some cruise lines, in order to make the cruise experience affordable to some families, lessen the price of the baseline cruise, and then you pay for what you want. And for some people, that is perfectly fine and a wonderful way to cruise. On the Disney cruise ship, though, it is included, like you talked about the movies, and so it really is nice to know that whether you're an adult or a kid, that if you want to go walk in to see a movie, you're just going to go, it's included, you're not paying more for that experience. And, for a lot of the extras that they have on the Disney cruise ship, like you said, the parties, and those parties are geared towards adults as well as kids. And I think that's what Disney does really well too, is they can have, a common activity, but make it entertaining for any age.
Agreed. And I had in my notes as well, I was going to get to it here in a second here about the nickel and diming that happens aboard some other cruise lines. And that's fine for some people. No problem with it. Like I said, we've sailed on many of those cruise lines and they all kind of do that in some way, shape or form. Right. Disney does it a little bit too, but not nearly to the extent that you see from some of these other cruise lines. Now, yes, for Disney cruise, you're probably paying a bit more for it, but when you go on board this ship, there's so much more included in that price, as Michelle was bringing into it. This entertainment that we're talking about without any extra fees, the dining, including a lot of stuff that you have to pay for on other cruise lines, like sodas.
Right.
Like you can, if you have a family who likes having a soda, there's free soda on board on the pool deck on every Disney cruise ship. So that's just one more thing you can cut out of the price. And there's just, you really could have a wonderful, wonderful vacation if you on Disney Cruise Line without paying for any of the extra
stuff. That was
stuff.
in my notes too.
Yeah. You don't have, if you don't feel like going to Palo or Remy or some of the other fine dining things, if you don't feel like the need to do any shore excursions where you're paying for anything like that, you can have a terrific vacation on board a Disney Cruise Line, eating great food in the dining rooms that change every night, by the way. So it's a little bit different experience every night you go to dinner, so it doesn't kind of get old. And that's especially good for the kids, because you go and you get out to dinner and everything and they get a little bored after it sometimes. That can definitely happen when they have this entertainment going on and little wow moments within dinners in some of these dining rooms, and it's a change of pace every time. It kind of helps you get through that as well. So there's just so much more that you get, even though you're paying more. The value is kind of there with Disney.
Right. And I think we've seen that when we've gone on some of these other cruise lines that, charge some additional things, like you're saying, just with sodas, when we've done some of those and said, okay, well, we wanted to do, a movie and, have some sodas or something like that. After a while, we saw the price really start to be comparable to the Disney cruise. So like you're saying, yes, you're paying up front more, but it's because all that is included. I mean, the other thing when you talked about the dining that I think sets Disney apart, you touched on the rotational dining. And for those of you who haven't ever gone on a Disney cruise, well, first of all, looking at a non-Disney cruise, generally speaking, they have one, maybe two main dining rooms that are included in the price of the actual cruise. And anything else, any other type of dining that you want to go to, you would pay extra in the evenings. And what's like you were saying, the variety that you get to experience through the rotational dining on a Disney cruise is amazing. They have each night, you get to go to a different room. They generally have about 3 of their main dining rooms. But even when you're on a cruise that's longer than 3 nights, the food changes. Something changes about the restaurant itself, whether it be the decor or the entertainment part of it. So it is always a fresh new experience. It's not the same old where you're just sitting in a dining room and somebody's bringing you the food you ordered. There is entertainment that really is making that experience so much better.
Right. And even though you're moving from dining room to dining room, you still keep your servers with you in each dining room that you go to, which is excellent, especially for when you have the little ones with you, because they kind of get to know, one, your preferences, but also the preferences of your little ones, to kind of make sure that they're happy. They take care of them usually first, make sure they get their food first, because they can get a little antsy when they're not necessarily they're sitting at the table, food hasn't come yet or whatever. And that's another thing we find with the servers aboard Disney Cruise is that they know how to cater to the children at the table. They know how to entertain them, keep them involved, have a little fun with them at the same time. And it just kind of, again, the family atmosphere aboard a Disney Cruise is better than on any other cruise we've been on.
Right, exactly. And, the nice thing at the Disney Cruise Line has too is that they do have 2 different dining times. They have the main dining, which is the earlier seating, and then they have the late seating. And so if you tend to want to be more with a dining room filled mainly with adults, the late dining is generally speaking has more adults to it. But either way, one of the great things they also have there is that at the end of the dinner service, they actually have some of the counselors come from the kids' rooms, the kids' clubs, and they actually will take them from the restaurant there to the kids' club so the adults can stay, and whether you want to have some more coffee or a little nightcap or something like that, you don't feel like you're, rushed to get away from the table because the kids are ready to, move along.
Exactly. And let's talk about those kids clubs a little bit because, again, they have no rival at sea. There have been a lot of different cruise lines that have attempted things that are trying to make their kids clubs better to kind of be somewhat on par with what Disney does. But Disney's are by far and away the best. A lot of times kids, they don't want to leave. They just want to stay in there in the kids clubs. And we've looked aboard, what's on. They've added a lot of new things. If ships have gone through refurbishments, even more exciting things that have brought more into the modern age that kids enjoy with screens and so forth to kind of keep them involved. Right. And yet still, they bring in characters and it's got that Disney feel. It's not just sitting there on a screen. There's lots of activities and just fun stuff for kids to do within those clubs.
Right. And I know that, some people may have traveled on a Disney Cruise Line during there was a period of time where they weren't focusing on those kids club as much in the sense of keeping them updated and things. And we've talked to some people who haven't had the same experience with their kids being as interested in the kids club. But we really saw over the last, even just before the pandemic, that Disney Cruise Line really did revamp how they were going to really run those kids club and go back to some basics that really made kids want to stay. And some of that had to do with being, considerate of different ages and what activities those age groups would like. And then they also expanded to have more of the tweens having their own club and the teens having theirs. And then the, even the younger adults having some special activities, really devoted to their interests. So, I would think that some people may have cruised and not had that same experience, but it really is resumed themselves with having great kids programs.
Yeah, and like I said, there's a catch up that has to be done. Of what kids enjoyed, especially on board ships like the the wonder and the magic when those ships first came out many years ago now. It's amazing to think those ships are actually relatively old in comparison. They still look beautiful, but they are relatively old. So, what kids like now as opposed to 20 years ago is a little bit different.
Right.
I mean, so they've had to adapt and adjust a few things, but yet still keep that classic Disney feel within it.
Right. And like you said, now really focusing on updating the technology and what can be, readily entertaining for kids. Kids do have a lot of technology at their fingertips all the time. So how can they make it fresh? How can they make it more unique of an experience? And we kind of saw that when we were where they had the simulation to sail the ship actually and to, steer it and try not to crash. And
And now they have all sorts of things with Marvel and Star Wars and everything, but yet, and they also still bring in, the princesses and some of the characters for story time and everything, and there's lots of, there's animation classes within there, learning to draw characters. There's just so many different things that kids can do throughout the day.
Right.
And they really have improved it. And even though it was already great, they've made it even better.
Right. And, one other part about the kids program on the Disney cruise ship is that they even have activities that go kind of late into the evening, even some like quasi sleepovers. They're not really sleeping over, but they're there till, 10 or 11 o'clock at night, which really gives the parents time to, whether they want to go to a special dinner at like Paolo's or Remy's or something like that, or if they just want to have time to go see a movie, whatever, or do some of the clubs for themselves, the adult clubs. It's great that they have those programs last into the evening as well.
Yeah, I mean, they really, that's another thing I was going to bring up here is that obviously Disney Cruise Line is excellent for families. And of course, it's obvious there's no other cruise ship at sea that you're going to turn a corner and there's Goofy.
Right.
Or there's a Tinkerbell or whatever. Right. That's one of the magical things. There's nothing like when you're walking down a hallway on a Disney cruise ship and you see whether it's your child or somebody else's child and they turn a corner and there's Minnie Mouse and watch their face light up.
Yeah.
It's incredible to experience.
Or your husband when he sees Rapunzel.
Yes. Yes, that's a little glimpse into my soul right there. Thank you very much. Yes, that's true. But it's just there's just nothing like it, and there's nowhere else you can capture that on board any other cruise line at sea. But they also, and we've talked about, did a whole episode about this, is that it's also just a great spot just for adults. Most people think, it's a Disney cruise. It's going to be a lot of families. It's going to be a lot of kids. And yes, that's true. But they have spots specifically just for adults where you can kind of spend your time there for much of the day. And you can almost hardly know that there's kids or characters or whatever. And then when you go there between the Quiet Cove pool and, going into the adult clubs, not adult clubs, but you know what I mean? Yes. The clubs for adults usually it's in the forward of the ship on the older ships. I know there's some mid-ship stuff on the Fantasy and the Dream. We're still waiting to hear a little bit more about the Wish. But, those are some areas that you can go into and listen to some music and grab a cocktail, maybe grab a small plate of food, and maybe play some trivia or whatever, some shipboard games, and just have a good old adult time.
Right. Yeah. And that is so true. And like you said, we've talked about that in the past. It allows you to be a kid, but it doesn't mean that you're not still interested in adult things that they could have to offer. Like you said, whether it's things during the day, which includes movies, and they have, movies that are not just all Disney movies. So it's great.
Yeah. Really enjoy it. So those are kind of the things that I have that kind of set Disney apart. Do you have anything else on your list?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. I think, like you said, the overall arching theme is it's quality. Yes, you're paying for more in advance for that quality, but is an all-inclusive, really an all-inclusive vacation that you wouldn't need to spend any additional money on board and have a fabulous time.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, there are the tips that you do need to tip
Right.
wait staff. That's not usually included in your price, although you can prepay tips if you so desire. So that's kind of something that can be an added on fee that you should know about. But if you're not, if you don't drink alcohol, if you're not going to do a bunch of shore excursions, if you don't care about, the fine dining aspect of like Palo or Remy or whatever, and you just want to go there, lounge by the pool, see some quality entertainment, relax in a larger than usual, cabin aboard a cruise ship, and just have a good time with some wonderful customer service, then you won't have to spend an extra dime off of what your fare is. And again, the value is there for you depending on what you're looking for. So that's why we kind of think it sets it apart.
Agreed.
All right. So let's get to what everybody's waiting for. And let's really talk about the Disney Wish a little bit here. And unfortunately, we need to talk about this because, they did open up the bookings this last week for those who were platinum. And well, if you're hoping to be aboard the maiden voyage of the Disney Wish, I'm sorry to tell you, if you're a gold or a silver or you have never sailed aboard a Disney cruise ship before, it looks like it's been completely sold out for the maiden voyage of the Disney Wish. And, that doesn't mean necessarily that something might not pop available for you in the future. You never know. I think that I've read somewhere that the deposits for the inaugural sailing for the maiden voyage are non-refundable, so chances those won't pop open for you, but keep looking back. You never know. Something might show up. So, look for it just in case. Also, the DVC member cruise, that was the first thing that went. that sold out before the maiden voyage sold out. So the first two sailings aboard the Disney Wish are not available. However, if you don't mind waiting till the third or fourth sailing or beyond that, there's still plenty of availability as of today when we're recording this on Saturday, May 22nd. There are still other options for you available and some great cruises.
Right. And yes, it's always exciting to think you're going to be on the maiden voyage of a ship. But it really isn't meaning you're going to be void of a magical time whenever you get an opportunity to sail on that ship.
And you're going to save a little money off of what the maiden voyage cost. So that's the good news, and that's the way to look at it. And you'll still be on one of the first few cruises, I should say, of this amazing ship. So, still something to look forward to out there. So just a reminder of what dates are still available coming up here for those who are looking to book these things as soon as possible. And we always recommend you do, because we've seen it already. The prices have gone up slightly as the cabins start to disappear aboard these ships. So you want to book if you really want to sail aboard the Disney Wish, you want to book at your earliest opportunity. So right now, as we speak today, all Platinum Castaway Club members can book either by phone or online, so you can go out there and book if you haven't done that already. On Monday, May 24th, beginning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. All these open up at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, by the way, so I won't mention that again. Just know that. Gold Castaway Club members, you can book by phone or online, whichever is easiest for you. On Tuesday, May 25th, Disney Vacation Club members and Disney Adventure Insiders can book their sailings, but that's by phone only. And there's specific numbers depending on how you want to book. So I'm going to go through those really quickly. For you Disney Vacation Club members, if you're booking with points, you will want to call Disney Vacation Club member services at 800-800-9800. Again, 800-800-9800. And that's only if you want to book using points. Now, if you want to book with cash and you're a Disney Vacation Club member, then you want to call 866-325-6348. Again, 866-325-6348. If you're a Disney Adventure Insider, when you have your chance to book on Tuesday, May 25th, you'll want to call this number, 888-272-0644. Again, 888-272-0644. And that will be your chance to book if you're in either of those two groupings. Now, moving on, if you are a Silver Castaway Club member, you can begin booking by phone or online on Wednesday, May 26th, and booking opens up for the general public on Thursday, May 27th. Again, as I already mentioned, highly suggest that if you're looking to book these cruises, if you're thinking about it, go ahead and do it at your earliest available date, because you're going to get the best price at that point. And you also have the best cabin availability at that point. If you wait, if you hem and haw about it, it might go up by a little bit. You might not have that cabin you want. I would suggest taking advantage of it if you really, really, really want to be aboard the Disney Wish at its earliest possibility.
Right. And you're only having to put a deposit. I mean, I know it's still a lot of money. However, that really will hold, the room for you. And like you said, it's when you have the best availability of rooms for selection, and you could save several $100s by booking early.
Yes, agreed. So definitely, we highly suggest you take advantage of that if you're thinking about doing it. So did we take advantage of that this week? We are platinum, as we already talked about. So we had the opportunity this past week to book aboard the Disney Wish. Did we do that?
I think we did.
Of course we did. You know us. Of course we did. We debated a lot of different possibilities, including that maiden voyage.
Right.
We talked about that. The DVC member cruise. We talked about that, looked into the numbers, everything about it. But then when it all came down to it, we looked at all the things we have coming up in the next year plus that we wanted to do. We have, of course, Walt Disney World's 50th birthday coming up here in October. We have that other cruise we've already mentioned aboard the Disney Fantasy coming up for the Christmas cruise. Star Wars Celebrations coming up next year in Anaheim. We may want to go to that. D23 Expo 2022 is also next year. Galactic Star Cruiser, hello, that's also possibly next summer. And we have some other personal things going on in our life. So we decided, you know what? Maybe we don't need to go on some of the first few cruises. We're going to wait a few months when the prices are about half the price that we are. So we ended up booking a 4-night Bahamian sailing aboard the Disney Wish in September. We're doing a deluxe ocean view cabin. So we're hoping in September, maybe it'll be a Halloween on the high seas cruise as well. They haven't said that they were going to do that or not, especially aboard the Disney Wish. It wouldn't shock me if they do, but we don't know for sure. But either way, the price and the availability just kind of worked out the best for us to wait till September.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's still within the inaugural year. It's still, again, these ships are amazing no matter when you get to go on them. So we're just really excited that we're going to be able to experience a brand new ship with lots of new bells and whistles, and we're excited for that. I think the 4-night is great because it allows us to experience all 3 of their main dining rooms, as well as one other special night, whether it be Palos or Enchanté.
Yeah. We're excited to figure it all out, and can't wait to see what comes when we finally get to be aboard the Disney Wish, and you'll kind of all be coming along with us because we're going to talk about it a lot and going into it and kind of after the fact as well, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're very excited about sailing aboard the Disney Wish. And I think Michelle kind of wants to talk about some of the things that are available for us once we do get to sail aboard the Disney Wish, or once you finally get to sail aboard the Disney Wish.
Oh, thanks, honey. Yeah, I mean, when you've gone on or if you've explored Disney Cruise Line, there are some common things along the way with their ships, but sometimes with different twists. And the Wish is no different. When you talk about, and we've mentioned it already with the dining experience, that it has the rotational dining with 3 different restaurants. And we were really excited to hear about the theming and the type of restaurants that they are going to have on the Wish that really sets them apart even from the other cruises. So, the first one being, it's called 1923, and it really is paying respect to when the company started, and so it's the restaurant that's going to be considered the kind of the more formal of the rotational dining restaurants. They all have one. Typically, they have been associated with like a animated film type of decor and theming, so like there's the Beauty and the Beast theme and Lumiere's and Little Mermaid and Triton's. But this one, it's 1923, and it's really going to feature the history of Disney company being that of animation, and so they'll be sharing some of the storytelling with that theming. And so to me, it's very much Brown Derby meets Walt Disney kind of.
Yeah, that's kind of reminded me of when we see the concept art for it. It kind of looks like that. Yeah.
Right, and excited to hear that it's going to really feature California cuisine, which we're big fans of anyway. So that was kind of nice. But then they up their game when they are doing a Frozen themed restaurant.
It's just speaking right to me.
I know, right? So this one is kind of think of Disney theater experience along with eating, or dinner in a show kind of feature. And they created a really great story. I mean, we've always mentioned this. Disney company is great at storytelling. And in this particular scenario, it's Queen Anna and Kristoff are celebrating their engagement, and all the diners are the guests involved in the celebration. And so as one would expect, Elsa and Olaf are going to have some musical performances, and the menu is going to be Norwegian inspired. So really exciting to hear about that restaurant. I know you were thrilled.
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, a lot of things on board this ship, they just listened to this show and they decided, you know what? How can we get all of their money? We'll put all these things on this ship.
And
then
make
Tom
sure
and
they'll
Michelle,
go.
cannot, they can't stay away.
Right. And so the third main dining room that they'll have is the World of Marvel dining. And they didn't reveal as much about that one, just that it's going to be state-of-the-art technology and obviously themed with the Marvel universe. But one of the hints that they said is that diners will leap into their own superhero story. And to me, this sounds like they might be alluding to that secret experience that similar to what's in Animator's Palette.
Right.
Yeah. So that's exciting. I mean, we've experienced that and look forward to that. But it's great to see that they've really switched up the theming for this new cruise.
Yeah. And I've heard some people concerned about World of Marvel and the fact that, I don't want to go and just when I go to dinner, I just want to have a nice dinner and everything. I don't want to be involved in this action movie sequence or whatever. And what I will tell you about that, and you just kind of alluded to that, Michelle, is that when you're eating, they let you eat. You know, usually what the show aspect of, if you haven't been aboard a Disney cruise or, some of these with some of the shows involved with them, a lot of that takes place as the evening is winding down, more like if you've gotten your appetizer, you had your entree, maybe dessert is coming out right at that point, or it has just come out. And it's kind of after that when the real action takes place, because they don't want to disrupt your eating as well. They want you to have a good, enjoyable meal. So they'll move through that, and then the show will really take place. There may be some small things that happen in between, but as far as whatever is the real part of the meal, or as far as the real part of the show, will be at the end of your meal. Right,
exactly. I mean, generally speaking, like you're saying, the main aspect of the show is later on in the dining experience. Generally, you get a little sneak peek of something when you first enter that it's going to be an exciting, fun experience. But in general, like you said, the main part of it is later. And, with the World of Marvel, in the use of technology, as I mentioned, what is used in the Animator's Palette restaurant is fun for adults too. It really is, kind of a unique.
And they may have some things that happen throughout your dinner, but it'll be more subtle, I think, like a lot of times with Animator's Palette, just using that again as an example. They have you'll see some artwork get colorized gradually on the side. So it's kind of like, as you're there and you're in between bites and in between plates of food or whatever, you can look up and think, oh, look, there's Moana, and they kind of show how she was drawn and how it takes place and everything. So it's more subtle. It's not as in your face. You pick and choose what you want to look at. And I have a feeling this is going to be something similar to that.
Right. Yes. Agreed. The other really cool thing, on all the ships, they do have the Walt Disney Theater. That's where the live performances are taking place each night. This one, it looks amazingly beautiful, taking theming from the Disney classic Fantasia. So that's marvelous. And, they announced that they're going to have a all new show, Disney's Aladdin.
And an all new show that they've already had, but yes.
They're going to mix it up a bit,
yes.
but yes. And then the kids area is also going to some more great theming, and what we talked about a little bit earlier in this episode is the use of technology to make it more than just your kid using their phone or iPad or something like that. So again, bringing in the Marvel themed as one of their areas, and here kids can kind of simulate a designing of their own costume and see how that holds up in battle, which sounds pretty amazing and thrilling. In the Imagineering Lab, they're going to let kids create their own attraction simulator, kind of like Space Mountain type thing, and kind of get to sit and feel what that might be like or look like. And then they have Fairy Tale Hall that is very princess themed and really focusing on kids tapping in on their creativity or their artistic skills.
And it's, if you ever get the chance to do the open houses in some of these kids clubs, which a lot of times, not so much on the shorter cruises because the kids are in there a lot, but a lot of times if you ever get the chance when they eventually open these up for longer cruises, when there's fewer kids on board, sometimes they open up those kids clubs a few times and you can get in there and experience some of these things. And I'm hoping we get a chance to do that at some point because a lot of this stuff sounds like stuff I want to do.
Absolutely. The other unique thing on this ship, and interestingly, I didn't mention it before, but it actually has the same number of cabins as the Dream and the Fantasy. So it's just how they're using space and using it differently and adding some of these enhancements is really amazing. But it is going to feature 10 pools. That's the most pools on any of the Disney cruise ships. But they're smaller areas, and I think that's going to really help with flow. I mean, one of the things in even some of the earlier ships, the flow sometimes gets very packed on sea days when everybody is at the family pool or something, and so I think having different areas with different pools is going to really help with that and make it even more fun.
Yeah, it might divvy up the people, the guests, a little bit more to different spots, and make it flow a little bit better. I agree with you.
Yeah. Then they're going to have the Aqua Mouse, which is it's actually an attraction at sea, and yes, it's a slide tube, but they are going to have some show scenes, some special lighting effects, music, and so it's really going to be more than just going down a slide in a water park.
It's going to tell a story as you go through it. Yeah.
Right. So it's going to be really fun. And a couple other interesting things about this one. We've talked about some of the suites that they've had on some of the other cruise ships, but this one tops it all. They have, obviously they have their royal suites. They have the Roy and the Walt suite, but they also are having some in concierge. They're actually just called ocean view rooms, so they don't have a veranda, but how they face out front, and you get a floor to ceiling view outside of your stateroom, and so you're seeing where the ship is going. It's very themed to the princesses, so it sounds like some really fun rooms there. And then of course the top suite that is multi-level suite is just crazy insane.
Yeah, you've seen some concept art for that, and it looks. Someday, I don't know if we'll ever be able to afford that thing, but man, it is really cool.
Yeah,
I would love to do that
exactly.
at some point, right there in the stack, stack that's not used. The tower. It's that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, also with those 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 family ocean views that are concierge. Yeah, I mean, they're ocean views, but you do still get the perks of being concierge,
Right.
including the lounge, the great coffee machine. I'm
Right.
assuming they're going to have that aboard the Disney Wish as well, which we love so much.
Right.
The happy hours and the other perks that come along with, being able to book some things more easily that come with concierge.
Right.
There is again, the high price that concierge is, but there are some nice perks that come along with
Right,
it.
right. They actually have their own pool area as well. So yeah, a lot of great things with concierge that, and like you said, in this ship, it's just that much more.
Right.
They have the main atrium, which, as you said, the concept art in this ship all around is just phenomenal. But that is beautifully elegant, and that is where you could have your Disney wedding in that area. So yes, if you're looking to have a Disney wedding through their fairy tale weddings, then that would be an option for you, is to have that on the Disney Wish.
Very nice.
Yeah. So obviously there's a lot of more interesting things, and there's more things coming, but I think those were some of the things that set it apart from even the newer ships like the Dream and the Fantasy that are coming aboard on the Wish.
Yeah, some great stuff for sure, and looking forward to experiencing many of those things when we get to sail on her in September. As a matter of fact, we made 5 favorite lists of the things we're looking forward to experiencing aboard the Disney Wish once we get to board her in September. And so when we do these things, well, we always start with Michelle because one, she has all the great info about these ships. She's gorgeous, intelligent, hardworking. She has the very best tips, but she also has the best lists. So let's get to Michelle's number 5 favorite thing that she's looking forward to aboard the Disney Wish.
All right. So my number 5 is, it's called the Hero Zone, and it's their recreation area. And I know, like most cruise ships, whether you're Disney or other types of cruise liners, they do have some kind of recreation area where it's either basketball or ping pong, something like that. But this one sounds like it's going to be so much more, of a recreation area. They said it's going to be action-packed physical challenges and game show style competitions. They're going to have the traditional, basketball and ping pong and things like that. But this sounds like it's going to be a lot more fun. And having that physical activity at sea is always good because you're eating so much.
You're eating so much. There's so much food. So much food.
So that's my number 5. How about you?
My number 5, we've already touched on it a little bit as Michelle was going through this, and that is the production shows that they're going to be putting on in the Walt Disney Theater there aboard the Disney Wish. And that includes, of course, Disney's Aladdin, a musical spectacular, which we've actually seen before, one aboard the Disney Fantasy, where it's been for a while. But also they kind of had a version of it back before they had the Frozen spectacular Disney California Adventure. They had Aladdin there, and we've seen it there, and it's been excellent.
In the Hyperion Theater.
That's right. Excited to see that. But also they're debuting 2 brand new shows, and we almost love those shows more than some of these that are based on movies, because they really, we talked about it earlier, they really tug at the heartstrings. They really strike a chord with you, and I can't wait to see what they come up with as far as new shows. We've experienced so many of them on the other ships so often, and we love them all, but we can't wait to see what they come up with that's new. At least that was my feeling. So
yeah, I agree.
So
that's cool.
That's my number 5. Let's get to Michelle's number 4 favorite thing she's looking forward to aboard the Disney Wish.
Okay, my number 4, you actually kind of already talked about it a little bit, and that is looking forward to checking out the kids' fun area during open house times. I totally am looking forward to trying to create my own roller coaster type ride, or seeing what kind of armor I could build for my own Marvel costume. So I'm looking forward to that.
And I, true to my personality, I'm looking forward to princess time.
Yes.
No, I'm looking forward to that too. I hope we get the opportunity to do that, whether it's, on this cruise or somewhere in the, in the near future, when it kind of clears out, and then maybe there's a few fewer kids involved, but still excited to get that chance when we do get the opportunity.
Right. So what about your number 4?
My number 4, again, is another thing that Michelle already discussed, and that is the first ever attraction at sea, the Aqua Mouse. We already love the Aqua Duck. It's so cool, but this takes that to another level with the
Right.
storytelling involved, with the animation specific just for this that's going to be taking part in this attraction. And I'm really excited to try that, but probably when we're in port and there's fewer people on the ship, so I don't have to wait in line
Right.
as long. But I am excited to try that for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm sure it's going to be a popular thing for people to experience. Yes, and I'm looking forward to that too. I would almost think that you might even get different experiences whether you do it in the daytime or at nighttime. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
We'll find out now, won't we? Or
Yes.
maybe we'll find out. We'll see. That's our number 4. What is Michelle's number 3 favorite thing she's looking forward to aboard the Disney Wish?
Okay, my number 3 is the Art of Theming Tour. I'm very hopeful they'll have it. They have it on all their ships, so I couldn't imagine why they wouldn't. One, it gives you some real insight to the uniqueness of that particular ship, which is always great because their art is truly developed with purpose. It helps for so many ways, whether it's, moving people through an area or, kind of making it more attractive or displaying what's coming up. We've talked about that, like when you're going to, the decks that have all the outdoors activities. Usually the art relates to something with activities or sports. So just really looking forward to what were their thoughts when they were developing the theming of this ship.
Right. I'm pretty sure they'll have it, especially for the first few sailings of it.
Right.
I mean, they have them aboard all the ships because the Imagineers do such a wonderful job of, yes, helping people flow, but also incorporating the theme throughout the ship. Highly, if you've never done it, if you go on board a Disney cruise, do the Art of the Theme tour.
Right.
It's only about a half an hour, 45 minutes.
Right. It's an adult-only tour.
Yeah, it doesn't take a long time, but it does give you more insight into how they design these ships. It's really interesting.
Right. You get more appreciation as you're walking around then, like, oh, now I understand why that's there, or I hadn't noticed that. And that really is very cool.
Yeah, it definitely is. Definitely is. So
I think we're up to your number 3.
my number 3 is Enchante because I love to eat and I love fine dining. And if
Right.
this place is even half as good as Remy,
Right.
which is probably as good as, if not better, I'm super excited to go. I'm not super excited for the paycheck that we'll have to put into it, but I am excited for the experience that is, because we've done Remy and it's one of the best dining experiences we've ever done in our life, if not the best. Yeah. But this is going to be, I think, on par with that. Plus it's themed after Beauty and the Beast and, and Lumiere, of course.
Right.
And it's just, I think it's going to be just an excellent experience. I'm very excited to get the chance to try it.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. It, like you said, Remy's, I don't think I ever had food that was more delicious and unique than that. And like you said, if it's even close to that, is going to be spectacular. And I suspect that it will equal that or maybe even better. So, it's set up to be something that's pretty special.
Right. So I'm very, very excited for that. Hopefully we get to book that when we're on the ship. So we'll see what happens. So that's my number 3. Michelle, what is your number 2 favorite thing you're looking forward to aboard the Disney Wish?
Well, one, just out of curiosity, is to look at, the multiple pools. I am very interested in flow and how things like that work in different things. But I think my main pool that I'm excited about is the adult area pool that will have an infinity pool, and the other ships don't have that. The imagery that they're showing now of what it looks like is amazing. Other cruise lines do have, not all, but there are some cruise lines that have infinity pools, and it just really is so unique.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm looking forward to checking that out for sure.
Yeah.
My number 2 is all the main dining experiences Michelle already addressed here earlier. 1923, of course, the classic Disney. Worlds of Marvel. We love Marvel.
Right.
Looking forward to that. And hello, hashtag Real Men Love Frozen. I want to do Arendelle, a Frozen dining experience. I cannot wait for that. I'm excited to try these brand new restaurants and the cuisine that's involved with them.
Right.
I think it's going to be very interesting to incorporate the type of cuisines with the storytelling process within these different new dining rooms.
Right. And one of the things I didn't even really mention when talking about them is for the Marvel themed dining room. It really sounds like it's going to have such a variety, anywhere from, and I think, considering kids are going to be attracted to that as well, have something simple like burgers, but also something much more complex from, considering like with Wakanda and African tastes and things like that. So it's really exciting to
It's going to be kind of a global dining experience.
Right. So
very cool. So let's get really down to it. Let's get to the number one thing. And of course, Michelle's number one, the real number one. What is her number one favorite thing she's looking forward to aboard the Disney Wish?
Well, I'm just going to throw a guess here that we probably have the same number one, since you haven't mentioned this yet and I haven't mentioned it yet. I am pretty solid in that we are both saying Hyperspace Lounge.
Yes, that is our number one. Of course it is. Are you kidding me? As soon as I saw that, I'm like, again, they're speaking right to us.
So, the Star Wars Hyperspace Lounge is going to be open in the evenings for adult only. During the day, I guess they said it's going to be a watering hole, so I don't know if it's just going to be a simple bar kind of thing, but in the evening it really comes to life, and it looks like it's going to be so filled with Easter eggs of all the movies, and just have that classic kind of cantina feel that I just can't wait. And especially that it's going to have some unique drinks to try out. So I'm all over that one.
We're huge Star Wars fans, and any chance we have to experience something that feels like you're being immersed in that world is going to be impressive. And it looks like it kind of, from the concept art, it looks like it's going to be like a mini version of the Galactic Star Cruiser, where you're kind of in this, and there you're looking out, and then behind there is outer space behind it and everything. I can't wait to check it out and see the cocktails they come up with, the experiences that happen within there. I hope we can find a spot in there, because I think everybody's going to want to go in there. But
exactly.
I think it's going to be fantastic. So yes, I agree with you. That is my number one thing that I'm looking forward to, that we must do.
Yes. It like you said, it just speaks to us and our love for Star Wars things, and it looks a lot of fun. It really looks like it's going to be much more enjoyable than even Olga's Cantina. This really looks like it's going to have some fun things to experience.
Yep, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our look at Disney Cruise Line, a Wish, and so much more. We'd love to know, one, have you booked aboard the Disney Wish this week, last week, whatever it may be? We'd love to know what you've booked, or if you're planning on booking, please let us know about that. Let us know what you're looking forward to as well. And also, if you just have any questions about Disney Cruise Line in general, we'd be thrilled to answer them for you. So please hit us up at our Gmail account or through social media, and we'd be happy to be in contact with you about all this stuff.
Most definitely.
So again, that is our look at Disney Cruise Line, a Wish, and so much more. All right, if you haven't been able to tell, we like Disney Cruise Line a lot because we talked about it for a long time. So let's quickly get to our Disney stories of the week. And we're going to start with some fantastic news about a couple of Disneyland reopenings that came out this week. One near us, one not so near us. And that's the one we're going to start with, the one that's not quite in our backyard. This from the Disney Parks blog. Disneyland Paris ushers in a new and returning magic with Monday's announcement of its reopening of June 17th with Disneyland Park, Walt Disney Studios Park, Disney's Newport Bay Club Hotel, and Disney Village with booking flexibility. So June 17th, Disneyland Paris is finally going to be able to reopen once again.
Yeah, that's really exciting news. And, they're also doing some really nice things to get the park even better than it was last time it was open. So we're so thrilled for the Disney company, for the people in Europe, or anybody else traveling there. We're super jealous.
Yeah.
But very happy to hear this announcement.
Yeah, it was really exciting news because we've been waiting for it for a while, and we know they've been struggling over there a little bit with this. And so the fact that they finally have gotten to the point where they feel that they can open this up is such great news.
And stay open. We know that
they have reopened a different couple times, and they've had to close it back down again. So hopefully this one sticks.
Right.
We're feeling good about that possibility. So let's just everybody keep doing the right thing, and let's let Disneyland Paris keep reopening here. So that's good. Also, in other great Disneyland Paris news, starting on June 21st, guests can stay at the heroically appointed Disney's Hotel New York, the art of Marvel. We've been talking a little bit about Marvel with a Disney wish. Well, this 4-star hotel, styled as a New York art gallery, will pay tribute to the birthplace of so many Marvel superheroes and their artists while offering premium comfort and personalized services. Epic stays at the Disney's Hotel New York and the Art of Marvel are bookable now. And to make the stay even more super, guests booking before July 29th of 2021 with an arrival date before March 30th of 2022 will receive a take-home exclusive Marvel print by artist Matt Ferguson and a complimentary mocktail of their choice in one of the hotel's bars. So that's kind of cool. You get a little perk extra if you're staying there as well.
That's so awesome. I don't know if you've seen any of the drawings of what that hotel looks like and what they're going to have, but it's so impressive. I know that we've talked about in the past when we went to visit Disneyland Paris and what we saw with some of the hotels, just kind of walking through them and checking them out. They seem to need a little bit of oomph to them, and this looks like it had a lot of oomph added.
Yeah. I mean, when we last were there, it was before Disney the Walt Disney Company had kind of taken over ownership of it. They were only a partial owner in it. Right. Since then, they have bought up the rest of the shares, and now they've injected like $1 billion into this to improving Disneyland Paris. And so this is one of the first few things that we're seeing take place over there.
Right.
Well, we're hoping we're seeing. Eventually, we're going to go see it again, but just really cool and glad because we saw that at D23 a couple years ago, what it was going to look like, and we were blown away by how cool it looked. I'm excited that people are going to get to experience that finally.
Yes.
So that's cool. So now moving to the Disneyland opening news that's a little closer to home, actually a ton closer to home. This again from the Disney Parks blog. More of the magic is returning. The phased reopening of the Disneyland Resort moves another step forward as the Disneyland Hotel.
Yay.
Yes, Disneyland Resort's original hotel reopens on July 2nd, 2021. So just in time for the 4th of July weekend.
Right. That is such great news. It's, just seeing more and more of things opening up in California, especially related to Disney parks, is so wonderful. And, giving us hope that things are coming back.
Yeah, exactly. So glad that that's happening. You can book your reservations now for the hotel if you are looking to stay there in the near future. By the way, during the closure, the upholstery and fabrics throughout the guest rooms, lobbies, and meeting rooms were refreshed and updated. The guest rooms now feature a fun new fireworks pattern in the carpet and upgraded platform beds to help maximize storage. The corridor flooring features new patterns inspired by the art of Mary Blair.
Nice.
I know Michelle will be thrilled about that.
Fan
yes.
of Mary Blair.
With graphic elements recalling the park lands each of the towers are named for. So, there's like the Fantasyland Tower, there's the Adventure Tower, all those. So that's really cool. I am looking forward to it. Even just going there just to check some of that stuff out, whether we're staying there or not.
Exactly. And I know that prior to COVID, we had plans for tea again out there. And so it'll be nice once all of that is readily available to us as well. But yeah, big fan of Mary Blair's art and use of color. So unique. Her style is something that you can see it and right away know that's hers. And so having that inspired in their hotel is just such amazing news.
Yeah, really cool. So glad that that's reopening. Yay! So finally, we've been talking Disney Cruise Line all day, so let's continue on with that. Disney Cruise Line is apparently a step closer to making another Florida location into one of its home ports.
What?
Yeah, what's that? This from the Orlando Sentinel. Disney Cruise Line is shopping for a second year-round Florida home, and now it can enter into discussion with Port Everglades after a vote from the Broward County Commission on Tuesday. Of course, Disney has been sailing from Port Miami to some degree since 2012, and the line does have a deal in place that would let them sail year-round through 2024, except that would mean that they have to share that terminal with another cruise line, with MSC Cruises. So this deal, which is out of Fort Lauderdale, they, because of an agreement that they made with Carnival Corporation, a terminal there has suddenly become available, and it could be just for Disney Cruise, that they would be the only ships sailing out of it. So they can now get into discussions about that. The Cruise Terminal 4, which is the one that's available, is one of the terminals closest to Fort Lauderdale's Convention Center, massive renovated parking garage, and a hotel. Port Everglades' proximity to Fort Lauderdale's International Airport is also seen as a bonus by port officials. So initial talks have centered on a year-round vessel to be there all the time. So instead of being in Miami, there'll be a year-round vessel sailing out of Fort Lauderdale, out of Port Everglades if this happens. And then with the possibility of seasonally, say like the Disney Wonder comes back in, or the Magic comes back from Europe or whatever, for a second ship to be sailing out of there as well. So again, these are just in negotiations, but things are progressing. If you've ever sailed out of Port Everglades and flown in there, especially, it is so convenient. It is right there. You can see the ships as you're landing at Fort Lauderdale International Airport.
Yeah, it is really convenient to the airport. And it's just, for a lot of people, it's easier to fly into Fort Lauderdale rather than Miami. And so it's just, that's great news. And there's a lot of really fun things to do in Fort Lauderdale as well. If you do get there, before or stay after your cruise, it's a beautiful city.
Yeah. And plus with the new train service that they're going to be debuting sometime in the next couple of years, it's going to be easy if you still want to incorporate a Walt Disney World vacation into it without having to get a rental car or whatever. You can still just, take the train up and back, right? Because it's going to, one of the stops is going to be Fort Lauderdale Airport, and one of the stops is going to be Disney Springs. So very, very convenient. So that's kind of good news. So hopefully that comes through because, I think it'd be nice for, when Disney, it's one thing when Disney can go into a terminal and do it, they put up a few decorations and this and that, but it's another things when they can actually really do it up and really start your vacation even in the terminal at that level. So
which you see the difference between Port Canaveral and in Miami.
Yeah, so. Exactly. So that's it for the Disney stories of the week. However, we never leave you without giving you some sort of tip that might help you on your next vacation. And we always start with Michelle, one, because she's wonderful, gorgeous, intelligent.
You said that already.
But she has the best lists, but she also has the very best tips. So let's get right to it. Here is Michelle's tip of the week.
Well, thank you, honey. So my tip is pretty simple, but it is related to Disney Cruise Line, figuring this was going to be our topic. And so one of the things that people who may not live in Florida may travel to do a Disney park and a Disney cruise vacation together, depending on what they do, but they may decide to go to Disney World first, and that might include going to Galaxy's Edge and building a droid in Batuu. However, it's really important to know that remote control toys of any kind are not allowed on the ship for use on the ship. So if you do that and you got there and you have your remote controlled droid and you're boarding the Disney cruise, have it in your carry-on luggage, and then give it to them when you arrive. They'll tag it and store it for you during the duration of the cruise, and that way it's safe and you're in compliance.
Right, and you'll get it back on the night you disembark.
Right. So, but that is something that, if you're doing those two things together, you might not realize that you're not allowed to bring on a remote control toy.
Very important. That's good to know. People need to know that because, yes, you may be stopping by and building all those droids. We see them all the time whenever we visit Black Spire Outpost. We see all those great droids that everybody's building. So that's important for sure.
Just to make it easier for you to do that. We've gone on a cruise ship before where they've sequestered our luggage for something, and it's just kind of a
wasn't
hassle.
a droid.
No, it wasn't a droid, but little alcohol maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Us?
We
No.
were rookie travelers, I'm telling you. But anyways, avoid the hassle. Just bring it with your carry-on and turn it over to them as you're boarding.
Yep. Very good tip. Michelle's
Thank
tips.
you.
Always the best tips. My tip also has to do with Disney Cruise Line because we were talking about this. And, obviously everybody knows Castaway Cay is one of the best beach days you're ever going to experience when you board a Disney cruise if you get the chance to visit Castaway Cay. However, there are lots of other fun activities that you can do when you're on Castaway Cay besides just relaxing on the beach, although that's pretty darn good.
Yes.
One of those things is renting bikes.
Right.
You can rent bikes when you're on there, and it's actually kind of a cool way to explore the island because there's lots of interesting things to check out. It's not just one little stretch of beach. It's a
Right.
decent sized island, and so you can get around there and kind of check out a lot of different things throughout this island. So, and then one of the great things about it is it's really good for families, and it doesn't matter what age your child is or what their abilities aboard bikes are, because not only do they give you bikes for all shapes and sizes, they also give bikes with training wheels. So
Nice.
if your little one isn't quite ready yet for the two-wheeler,
Right.
it's okay. You can still do that, with the training wheels as well. They give out with every rental, they give helmets.
Nice.
So you don't need to worry about that. They also, for the really, really little ones that can't ride their bikes yet, they do have seats that they'll attach to them for the really, really little
Right.
ones. So you can take
Cool.
them with you as well. So, and if you do want to rent one of these bikes, when you're on the island, they are per hour. And right now, as of today, they are $13 per person per hour. So not a bad price if you want to go check out some of the island and do something a little different during the day.
Right.
So that's kind of fun. So just wanted to give you that tip. So
That's
you
a
know
great
that
idea.
if you wanted to do that, there's another fun thing to do aboard while you're at Castaway Cay.
Right. There are so many fun things, but that is kind of like you said, a little bit more unique. And when you've been on the cruise for a while, or a day or two maybe before getting there, it'll be fun to get out in the air and ride a bike.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So, and it's like I said, it's a great way to explore the island because,
Sure.
you can walk around it, but it's farther than you think it is. It looks kind of small.
Right.
It's farther than you think it is when you walk the whole thing. So, just taking an hour and kind of jaunting around it and seeing all the sights on a
Yeah,
bike, it's kind of a
that
cool
would
way
be
to check
cool.
it out. So, that's it for this week. Next week, well, it's Memorial Day weekend. So we're doing an episode based on memories.
Yes.
More specifically, we'll be remembering Disney attractions that have changed over the years.
Right. I know in the past we've done some of attractions that are gone, but we're going to be talking about ones that they're still there, but different.
Right. But different?
But different.
But different? So we're going to explore all that this next week, and that should be a lot of fun as well. A little nostalgia kicking in for
Yes.
everybody out there. So on Memorial Day, as it should be, you should be, memorializing everything. So,
Exactly.
yeah. So as for today, we appreciate that you joined us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. And while you're there,
You'll get a prompt to sign up for our newsletter if you haven't done that already. And so we do hope you do.
yes, please sign up for the newsletter. It's just another way to be involved in the Hyperion Adventures podcast world. Another way is on social media. We have a lot of fun with a lot of you out there on social media. Please follow us on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. Check out our YouTube channels. Just do a search for Hyperion Adventures Podcast. Hit subscribe and you'll know whenever we release a new episode, a new video, whatever it may be. And if you ever need to contact us or want to contact us for any reason, please hit us up at our Gmail account, HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com.
Yes. And if you have questions about anything that we're presenting or have any things that you would like us to do a deep dive in or anything like that, please let us know.
Definitely. We love hearing from you in whatever way, shape, or form it is. So that's it. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures Podcast. We look forward to sharing time with you again next week. Until that time, I'm Tom,
I'm Michelle.
and we hope that you have a magical week.